All right, recording. Hi, hello to anyone who's watching this. You're watching a game that was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays tabletop role-playing games online. Um, you can find the Gauntlet, the nexus for all things Gauntlet at gauntlet-rpg.com, where you'll find all sorts of cool stuff related to indie tabletop role-playing, like blogs, forums. I do want to shout out the weekly video roundup that gathers up all the APs in video form, done by Rob Abrazado. Shout outs to Rob. You can find that also at the website. There'll be a link down below. You also find the on the Patreon is the weekly zine that Gauntlet does called Codex, which contains usually supplements to existing games and more often than not original games in itself. It's all really cool. There's also the podcasting network, multiple shows covering different stuff. Like there's some APs there. There's like there's the Gauntlet podcast. It kind of just gathers up all these like cool games that are being played on the Gauntlet. And where, pray tell, we might find those cool games on the Hangouts calendar, which is kind of like where the Gauntlet community is about, because that's where this game was arranged. This is session, so session 2. Well, this second session, but session 1 was session 0. Anyway, where this is the second session of Blades in the Dark by John Harper. Basically, it's a game of thieves, scoundrels, rogues in an industrial fantasy city, haunted fantasy city, trying to make do. But with a bit of a twist, we're using Sean Nittner's Vigilantes playset, which puts the emphasis not on just making bank and clawing your way to the top over the backs of others, but actually helping people out. Down on the ground, protecting those that are less fortunate in the rough streets of Duskwall. Again, there'll be a link down below for all that stuff. If you want to check out Vigilantes and all that fun stuff. Last week we did mostly we did primarily character crew creation. Like we figured out like our main characters, some rivals, some factions, where you're situated and whatnot. So let's kind of like do a quick intro of all the of our players and kind of like a quick roundup of our characters, if that's okay with folks. I'm gonna go on the order of the roll 20 from top to bottom. So when I come to you, like just call it your name, pronouns. If there's anything you want to shout out, feel free to do so, and like the quick pitch on your character, and a cool thing about them, which I hope will be difficult because all your characters are cool. But just one cool thing. So I'm going to start once again with Will. If you kindly introduce yourself and your character.
Hi, so my name is Will. My pronouns are he, him, and so are those of my character, Solomon Rains, who is a bluecoat by day and a vigilante named Redcoat by night. And he's basically taking the law into his own hands because he sees that the law, is too dirty to do its job by day. So he wears a stained red blue coat uniform with a full face mask and cleans up the streets by night effectively.
Hell yeah. He seems really rad. Hope to see him in action tonight. Up next, down from there, we have Jim. Tell us about yourself and your character.
Hey, I am Jim Crocker. I use he, him pronouns, but if you're using they, them, respectfully in a more generic sense, I'm happy with that too. That works just fine for me. Folks that know me from outside the Gauntlet, where I play and run a whole lot of games, including a bunch of them with Leandro and David too, may know me because I've been a retailer of games for many, many years. I'm in my office. You can see behind me, I have games over my shoulder and these boxes here. This is Josh Newman's newly released Bloody Handed Name of Bronze that I'm shipping out to Kickstarter backers. So that is what I'll be doing over the next couple of 3 weeks, because that's going to take a while to get all those out the door. But that's what I do during the day. If you're more interested in hearing me talk about games, seeing what conventions I'm going to be at 3 or 4 months from now, because all my April and May events have been canceled. So it's going to be a lean couple of months. So if you wanted to buy a couple of games to support me, you could go to jimlikesgames.com, where I've got my listing of all the indie RPGs that I carry. And I do a little bit of blogging and podcasting and all that kind of stuff. You can get all that information there. I'm on Twitter at jimlikesgames as well. And somewhere my friend Joe is smiling because I'm basically playing Catwoman in this game. I will be playing the part of Victoria Hightower, which is like the most, Batman like villain high society name that I could come up with for this game. So, and she is a flighty debutante by day, master burglar by night. And one of the interesting things is that I took a mechanical ability that basically means I am not affected by quality or tier when I bypass security measures. Normally in these Forged in the Dark games, there's different, like if you're going at something that is better at whatever it is than you are, there's a difference and it renders you less effective. In this case, if it's getting into somewhere, doesn't bother me. I am good enough at that I can just bypass all of that. So I've created a character who is excellent at getting into trouble, maybe not so great at getting out of it, which is where interesting play comes from, I hope. So we'll see how all that rattles out.
Gotta say, I'm a bit jealous of yours and Will's background display. All I got is like that raccoon blanket over there, and a meager board game collection. That's about it. I'm gonna say, but I'm mighty jealous. Anyway, cool. Can't wait to see if Victoria does manage to get out of trouble, because as Blades is a great engine for just getting into trouble. Getting out, we'll see. We'll see. Up next, David, tell us about yourself and your character.
Yeah, hi, my name's David. I use he, him pronouns. And this evening I'm playing Daphnia Penderyn, also known as the Widow Penderyn. She is an older lady, short, burly, dark, sort of curly graying hair. She spent many years working in the fish market, but now has semi-retired to run a boarding house for young women. She is kind of a permanent feature of Charhollow, I suppose, kind of local gossip, pillar of the community type. She almost certainly has nothing to do with any sort of vigilante activity, but if she were in a playbook, she would be a spider.
If Blades in the Dark lets you just play regular people, if only, yeah. And last but not least, Stephen, why don't you introduce yourself and your character?
So I'm Stephen Humphreys, he, him pronouns. I'm playing Basil Tambling, also he, him, who is a hound known as Slider. The cool thing about Slider is he has just drummed out of the 42nd Arbalestier Light, known as the Blessed Bastards. And he's come out along with a lot of other members of his unit who I think will probably be scattered throughout the city in various capacities, and who he probably will not run into at all.
Nah, Duskwall, it's a big city. Like, you can live there, and just like, unless I don't know, you're a character in a role playing campaign. That's not gonna happen. Hard to run into like people, unless of course, yeah, you have a game master who's invested in complicating your lives. Right. So before we kind of jump into the game itself, let's talk about the safety tools that we are using for this game. I'd like to remind folks that if you scroll down to the bottom of the Roll20, there is a handout for lines and veils. Lines are things that basically won't be crossed, just won't show up in the fiction at all. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but like we're not going to concentrate on it. Like it happens off screen, or we fast forward over it, or it gets like a sentence or two. That's about it. We are also using the X card for this series. Basically, how the X card works is basically if we do roll into a scene where folks will come for any reason, and any reason is perfectly fine. Like, and in fact, you don't even have to explain what the reason is. Like, it's not required, and it could be anything about the scene. It could be like just even a name, or like a small detail, like where the scene is set, or like just the tone of the scene, or even just the entire premise of the scene itself. You can say you want to X card that either on our chat or on the video. Say you can say you want to X card that, or you want to make the X symbol on the video. I might have some questions on what's being X carded, but if it's played, no one gets the question that the card is played. Like, we'll respect the card has been used. We'll roll back and try something else. And finally, we have an open door policy, which basically means if folks need to step away from the table for any reason, and again, any reason is perfectly fine. It could be an emergency you need to take care of, or a call you need to take care of, or you're more tired than you thought and you need to like retire from the table, or you really just need to go. You drank all your coffee at an inopportune time, and you need to pause the game and take care of business. Well, you can do that at any time. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, okay. You might be, I don't know, you might be stuck on a burning canal boat with like a steamship about to run you down on one side, and the other side is a bunch of angry eel ghosts coming out from under the water. You could be trapped in between, and the tension's so high, and then suddenly, I really need to use the toilet. Can we do that? We'll pause the game anytime. It's perfectly fine. It's your safety and comfort is paramount, no matter what the situation is. Hopefully, none of y'all will end up in a situation where eels to the left, steamship to the right, you know, stuck in the middle, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. So, we've set up our kind of like our group, our crew. Again, Vigilantes is about protecting people. You're situated in the district of Char Hollow, which is the district. It's kind of like, it's where the working class work. Oh, sorry, Jim, I had a question there that, like, yeah, if I need to open door unexpectedly, yes. I would say I try, if I need to like step away, if usually I say it's about 5 minutes or so, but if I'm gone for like longer than 5 minutes, I'll try to message folks if I can't come back. Because again, I should mention as well, open door also applies to the GM, to myself. Oh, by the way, I didn't introduce myself. Hi, my name's Leandro. Use he him pronouns. Sorry, gets excited about everyone else. Yes, I would say after 5 minutes, if I've not contacted yourselves, if I'm not back, it's like, you know, something's happened, like power outage or something. After 5 minutes, I will try to make contact, but like feel free to see that as like, all right, we can step away soon. If I don't like give an exact time, I could even say like I could be gone 10 minutes. And usually it's like soon after that time limit that I give out. Cool. All right. So yeah, Char Hollow is like, yeah, the working class district. That's where all the workers, the servants, sailors, dockers live. That's where also, like, yeah, that's where all your lair is situated, which is, as you mentioned, a dilapidated clock tower, which is just fab. And actually, speaking of Jim again, I'm gonna take a leaf out of his GMing book, and I'm gonna ask like, what rumors have you picked up around Duskwall? Just like, what sort of like any strange tales or strange ideas, or just like any stories that you've heard around the city? And it's all like completely open. Like, I know like not everyone's read up on the setting in Duskwall, but so if you want to say like a rival gang, or like a drug has flooded the streets, or yeah, loan sharks be breaking legs, or you know, ghosts are coming out of this like establishment because they you know, put down foundations in the equivalent of a burial ground, that sort of thing, which is completely plausible. But yeah, I would like to solicit some rumors from yourselves.
People are going missing.
Ooh.
But who knows? That's, you know, that could just be the normal wear and tear of life in Dustfall, right? Surely.
Yeah. Was there anything specific about this that makes it like, you know, normal? Yeah, Dustfall wear and tear, people go missing, but like, is there anything like? And I know you've read the Vigilantes playset, so you probably saw the starting situation. But like,
yeah,
was there?
I
Like,
think,
yeah.
I think that people are just are going missing completely and utterly. You know, nobody's showing up, no ghosts, no nothing. Like, there's no trace of anyone at all. They just vanished off the face of the earth.
Ooh, interesting. All right. I like that wrinkle. Oh, damn it. I've accidentally clicked my Photoshop taskbar. No, I don't want you to turn on. Yeah, all right. I'm completely and utterly. I like that. Like that little wrinkle. Yeah, what about everyone else? What have you heard in the streets of Duskwall?
I think there is a rumor going around that almost, I suppose, the opposite to that rumor, that a revenant has come back from the dead and is hunting down the people that betrayed them.
Ooh. Interesting. I'll add like a secondary note to that, and I won't tell you all.
I've got one that could play into, I guess, both of those. There's also a rumor that the reason people are going missing is that there's this giant figure of a butcher that walks the streets at night and is actually chopping these people up and selling them in the food stalls and whatnot.
The Butcher of Char Hollow. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Butcher of Char Hollow, which I'm writing down my notes in.
There's got to be like
caps.
nursery rhymes about the Butcher of Char Hollow.
Maybe.
Yeah, not smart enough to come up with a nursery rhyme on the spot. What about you, Jim or Victoria? What rumors have you heard?
Yeah, there is let's see, what is it? There is a new brand of snuff that has proven so popular that there are like there have been riots at tobacconists to get a hold of the very limited supplies of it that they get in. That it is and all of the accompanying problems that go along with, like sudden faddishness. That there is, you know, there's counterfeit versions of it out there. There are, you know, if there's rumors that it's included in a shipment, there's a much higher likelihood that shipment will get hijacked and stuff like this. But this is like a craze that has taken over, like, you know, like kind of upper middle class Duskwall, right?
Interesting. This is me looking at the Roll20 icons for snuff. No joy. Turns out it's hard to find a token for snuff. I'm looking at this leathery dragon thing. That's probably not what you're talking about. All right. So I want to know, like,
yeah, I don't know that like a silhouette of someone's head with like a thumb on one nostril and like a box held under the other nostril is maybe not the, you know, like that's probably for that carries different connotations with it. So, but yeah, that's what's going on. So it is it's basically like it's a legal vice, but something about this iteration of it has people just going bonkers, you know, like tulip craze style, you know, like weird, bizarre bubble market, completely
Black market
unrelated
as
to,
well.
yes,
like,
yeah,
in such high
probably
demand.
yes, yeah, and certainly counterfeit, you know. Oh no, that's actually, you know, that's pencil shavings. You probably don't want to be snuffing that up into your nose, kind of things like that.
Yeah. Oh man, these are all some very good rumors. I'm looking forward to seeing if they bear fruit. So, but I do also want to know, and collectively, this is to your crew. Your crew is kind of like somewhat newish since you're like tier 0 at the moment, but people know of you. You got a reputation for being ostentatious, which is amazing. Amazing for a small startup crew to like just immediately garner that reputation. Does that mean that, like, how do people like get your attention if someone's like actively like calling you out? Say like someone in Char Hollow streets are actively soliciting for your help. Like,
they ring a bell 13 times.
Oh, that's fab.
Like, because that's, broken clock tower, man.
Yeah. Is this bell like coincidentally near this like boarding house?
Oh, I don't like I think it's like any bell.
Oh.
Like, like it can be like the bell of a church, it can be the bell that they ring for dinner or whatever. But if it rings 13 times, then we know that that's a call for us.
Could that
2
be
o'clock.
could that be for our ghost, perhaps? Like through
That's our ghost.
Sorens.
Yeah,
Was his name Soren?
who hears it wherever it may ring in the city. Oh, by the way, pardon me, Mum.
Yeah, the bell. Yeah,
Yes,
that's our butler because he goes when the bell rings.
Yes, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think. I kind of like. Okay, let's do this. When the bell rings, what are your characters doing? It's like the equivalent of the end of the workday in Duskwall. And just the bell tolls 13 times. What are your characters doing, and like how does Soren kind of like let you all know from where all of you are that your services are being summoned, so to speak?
Tell us what order to go in, Leandro, because otherwise we're just going to talk over each other.
Okay, yeah. Let's go from the order of the Roll20 from top to bottom.
Okay. So I think that Solomon is he's on patrol, and the bell rings, and he can hear it ringing out. I'm wondering if maybe like we all hear the bell when it rings, like because we're attuned to Soren, or perhaps we just hear the bell.
I think it'd be cool if like everyone, we start hearing a bell ring and then everyone's ears perk up and they kind of like mentally count to see if it hits 13. So like a montage of all of them like stopping what they're doing and like listening for the 13th chime to hit.
Yeah. I think he stops like just in the middle of the street and then head cocks to do it, and then just strides off into the shadows towards a watchtower, towards a clock tower that you see off on the horizon.
I do want to add that like not everyone has to like, because I know some folks does have like secret identities. Like it'd be weird if the Widow Penderyn just kind of like stood up from where they are and just kind of like walked off. So I'm assuming you have like a protocol of like who to meet, like with this, or at least in your masked form, in your alter egos. But yeah, so that's what we see of Solomon. What about Victoria? Where's she at when like she hears the bell?
I am sitting at a harpsichord with an elderly, stern-looking woman, with a like actual conductor's baton, who is kind of tapping on the top of the harpsichord as I play chopsticks, kind of awkwardly, and like and the bell starts to come in, and it's kind of going along, and kind of I speed up a little bit to match the cadence of the bell, and when that 13th and like I just look incredibly bored when it first comes on, and then the bell starts going, and then like one eyebrow just starts to go up a little bit, and there's 12, and then it hits that 13th one, and I just do like a little like back of the hand flourish across the keys, and I slam the cover down, and I stand and I say to her, "I'm bored now. We're through. Father will pay you for the lesson anyway," and go striding out of the room.
Cool. Up next, the Widow Penderyn, Daphnia. What do we see of you when you hear the bell tolling?
Yeah, so I think Daphnia is just putting a large pie into the oven. She closes it with a big range up. Dusts sort of flour off of her hands down the apron she's wearing. Goes over to like the water pump in the kitchen, fills up a kettle, and puts it on the range.
Cool. And Slider, Basil. Oh, Sorry, was there anything? Sorry, I heard you intake, Dave. Heard a breath intake, David. It's not cool. Yeah. So Slider, what do we see of you when you hear the bell tolling?
So I think Slider is in this. He's in this really ramshackle little hovel across from like a large, heavy-set man in an unbuttoned blue coat jacket. There are a couple of candles lit, and they're basically downing one equivalent of whiskey after another. And as they're doing this, Slider hears the final bell toll, and he stands up, shoots the final glass of sipping whiskey, straightens his coat, and he says, "Sergeant, I have a much fairer liaison to attend to this evening, if you'll excuse me." And then he strides out.
You hear the sergeant going, "Fair? What could be more fair than this?" But he says it like in a joshing manner, like, "What could be more fair than this? Come on, Basil." But he knows you do this sort of thing. Well, you started doing this, slipping in and out. Cool.
I think his wife has actually noticed, because Sergeant Griggs is married, and I think his wife has started to recognize that Slider doesn't ever get quite as drunk as Griggs does, and that Slider tends to leave at weird times. So Sergeant Griggs's wife thinks that he's got a paramour someplace, and is curious about it. But being a busybody, she's paying more attention than Griggs is.
Of course. Yeah, and I think this I'm imagining, like, whenever the bell tolls, do you all go to the tower or to where the bell is? Because I think a sword has to tell you where you're being contacted. So yeah, we can get a quick shot of what your lair looks like then. Like what because I know we got like, oh wait, no, I'm confusing this with another Blades game of like, did we describe what the lair looks like? No, sorry, I GM'd the Blades one shot a week ago, and that's running Blades twice a week. It kind of like, oh well, not gonna do that again. That was just confusing. But yeah, so
I don't think we've really painted the scene at our tower here.
yes, I'm absolutely confusing this with another Blades game. But yeah, that's so we described. Yeah, you're in a dilapidated clock tower, and yeah, just give me detail, kind of centered around your character, I suppose, of what your lair looks like. Yeah, dilapidated clock tower with a restless ghost butler. And let's keep going in that same order. So Solomon, what's the detail of the tower you want to add? It doesn't have to be centered around you, but like it could be neat.
Yeah. I think it has like, this building is completely sort of like, seems abandoned from the floor down, like condemned almost. And there's nothing around it, but there are these big, thick, sturdy gates over every like possible entrance that you could get through. And I think, our lair is kind of hidden within this this derelict building that no one goes into. And I think people are scared of it because it's haunted, perhaps, or also because it's been condemned and it's just dangerous to be in. But we know that it's actually safe.
Nothing perhaps about that haunted.
Yes, exactly. Perhaps, yes. But maybe not everyone else is sure that it really is. But yeah. So yeah.
You're lucky that like you have a member of your crew, Sabine, who couldn't be here, who is a spirit warden. Otherwise, they probably would have called the spirit wardens on that house, being like, "There's a ghost there. You gotta get rid of them." But I think your our doctor friend is making sure they don't notice the clock tower. Cool. I love the gates and whatnot. What about Victoria? What's the detail you want to add about the tower?
So it's like this dilapidated, broken clock tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a hatch that you can like the clock face itself. There's a hatch that you can open that would normally be where you would do maintenance on it, but like the hands that go around, one of them has like if this is the face of the clock tower, I'm gonna say that the hour hand has like it was at 12 o'clock for so long that the weight of it has kind of caused it to bend down, and it's maybe at about that angle, like sticking out from the face of the clock. And this is like a vast clock that you can see from blocks away and stuff like that. So the arm of that hour hand is, a good 1.5 feet wide. So if you're not worried, if you're not afraid of heights, you can climb out through that little hatch, walk up the end of the hour hand, and where there's that big, spade-shaped bit on the end of it, yes, you can perch dramatically if that's what you want to do. But gosh, you get a really good view of that chunk of the city and the river and, the prison out across the way that you can see from up there. Yeah, it's a nice little perch. But like I said, if you're afraid of heights or, maybe like you question your ability to balance at all, it might not be the most secure place. But I think Victoria is regularly walking out there with a spyglass to look and see what's going on.
Oh man, if anyone had a vice for dramatic monologues, it's a perfect place to do that.
I think that's probably going to happen anyway, brother. That's
hell yeah. That is what downtime is for. Yeah. What about Daphnia, our widow?
Yeah. So the obviously the tower is sort of dilapidated and in disrepair, but once you actually get inside it, it looks a lot more solid than it does outside. There's not much furniture in here. There's not much stuff around. But the one thing that is perhaps surprising is that it is actually very neat and clean in here. The flagstones look recently polished. There's a little wooden table, somewhat scuffed and battered with age. And sat on it is a little, not particularly fancy tea service set out.
Hell yeah. Nice to know someone's making sure this place isn't a mess. Insider, what's a detail you want to add about the lair?
Sorry, I didn't catch it earlier. There's a ghost in the lair, is that right?
Yes, your primary contact for your crew is a ghost. His name is Soren. Several factions don't like him.
How did he die? Is he attached to the clock tower?
Ooh, I think we did talk about that.
I don't think we talked about how he died, and I really would love it if that was mysterious and we figured out, and that could be like a bomb that gets dropped on us later during play.
I believe we specifically rescued him from the Dimmer Sisters, but
that's right.
We don't know how he came to be with them. Or,
yes,
we arranged for him to have an interview with the Ink Rakes after his death.
Yes, that's right. He got interviewed.
Maybe he doesn't remember specifically how he died. Like, it's still a mystery, like it's still hanging over us. But
he was in thrall and we got him out of there. But but I think we'd probably not given the nature of our work. I don't know that we would be necessarily inclined to pry too deeply into, the background details. But but like Stephen, if you want to make that up,
no,
tie into it.
What I was thinking was that no, I've got a better idea anyway. That's fine. I think I'm going to say that the clock tower is covered in gargoyles, but all the gargoyles look like sorrowful praying women, and there are exactly a dozen of them, and there are a lot of local legends about who these dozen praying women are.
That's lovely and gothic as heck. And I think Soren, who not really described much. We described their circumstances, but he is absolutely like a butler type. And I think like how he usually once you all kind of arrive, how he usually communicates that someone's calling for you is he absolutely loves the tea service. It's nice that it's there. But ghosts, I'm trying to remember, ghosts don't really they can interact, but they just take a bit of effort. But I think he kind of waits for everyone to arrive, and he kind of fusses over he fuzzes a bit over everyone once arrived and tries to make like small chit chat, like how was your harp lesson, Miss Hightower? Um, how was the beat, Mr. Rains? That sort of thing.
Dreadful. Thank you so much for asking.
Your father hasn't seen sense yet, has he?
The harpsichord lessons, the harpsichord lessons, the deportment lessons, none of that has anything to do with Daddy. That's all grandmom. And though you are already dead, I would not recommend that you say no to her either.
The Lady Hightower. I know that feeling all too well. He says in a dramatic notion that he's not going to elaborate upon. And yeah, so like he fuzzes over, like, Miss Penderyn, how are your girls? Mr. Tambling, how's your unit? That sort of thing. He's quite is mother the right word? Yeah, I kind of like that. He's like a mother hen. I think once everyone's kind of like been served tea, or anything, I think he will just straight up say like, who's calling for you. There is a woman out near the canals on the farthest edges of Char Hollow, and she calls upon you using a small servant's bell. Normally, I would not call you for what seems to be trivial, but she asked for, not for your group specifically, but for your kind. She asked for heroes. Those were her words. Would you go to her?
Well, if we're all done with tea, why not?
And I think Daphne pushes a basket over, particularly towards Victoria, and says, "I think we're about done here, but get yourself a scone, love. You're nothing but skin and bones, you aren't."
And I raise an eyebrow, and and I say, "One grandmother is quite enough, thank you."
Well, I found that serving bells are often rung by attractive serving wenches. I've got nothing better to do.
And I think like Soren can brush over that and just say like, look for the woman named Ramira. She seems of dire need of your services. And you kind of want to ask, like, who is everyone going to, like, does everyone go to meet possible scores, or do you just usually just send one person to meet
Well,
her?
did she ask for hero or heroes?
She asked for heroes.
Well, then that means all of us.
I'm just cautious because like I know like some folks probably like they want to keep their identity straight.
Did she ask for? Did she? Yeah. She clearly she didn't ask for a hero, but plural, several heroes.
That is true. All right. So if when we like kind of cut to at the edges of canals in Char Hollow, the edge of Char Hollow here. There is I'm imagining that like there's kind of like, it's not like a beach. Obviously, I don't think there's any beaches in Duskwall. It is kind of like just like this, the very edge of it. There's like just like this, not platform, but kind of like just an opening, and you can see there are like 4 streets kind of converge to it, and there's like some benches looking out into the canals, and it's turning dusk, so it's kind of dark, but you can see that like this kind of like tall kind of like figure, this woman with like rather short hair, kind of like sitting on a bench, and you can hear like she's like drumming her fingertips on her knee, and like and you can see like there is like a small like tinkling bell next to her. And I don't think she notices any of you like approach. She's like tall but kind of like hunched over a bit, and just like an air of like nervousness, kind of like on her.
See, perhaps in my imagination, I imagine like David's character, the Widow Penderyn, being our kind of like public-facing sort of chatty person, and then maybe perhaps Slider as well, you know, because he seems quite a sort of like more like a pulp adventurer, kind of like, you know, known in like mine's a sort of secret vigilante by night kind of thing, and Jim's is a cat burglar.
I'm up on a roof somewhere watching this going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think either my character or Jim's would have to either be in character or like lie and, you know, be who we are. But then I think it's maybe, I always imagine the Widow Penderyn sort of is like, you know, feeding us all these little whispers and things like that.
Hello, puppet.
Yeah. Oh, you look like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. So you have.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then like up over her shoulder, just, you know, a shape flits from one rooftop to the other. Yeah, I think is kind of what's going on.
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, I think the widow will approach her and say, "Mind if I take a seat here, dearie?"
Oh, none at all, ma'am. It seems I'm to wait for quite some time here. I would not mind the company.
And yeah, she'll take a seat, put down the basket we saw earlier next to her and say, "Do help yourself to a scone if you want one, love." And she reaches into sort of pouch her belt and pulls out a pipe and lights it. You waiting out here for your fancy man, my dear?
My fancy man's long gone, ma'am.
Oh, me too, love. Me too. Several times over, I'm afraid. But what brings you out here on a nice night like this?
I think she sighs after I just sighed and kind of like cautiously like reaches for a scone. You can see like her hands look like weathered for sure. They're working hands, and like she's of the city. I think you can tell like she's a Karosi, but like someone who's kind of like been through a few scrapes. I'm imagining like mid 30s, just about to reach mid 30s. So mid between early and mid 30s. That sort of 32. There we go. That's a specific age. And she kind of says like, "Oh, just if you don't mind me sounding a bit parched, ma'am. Tired, ma'am. Parched is the wrong word. There comes a time when you just have to sit down and hope for a lucky break. You know, one tries to engineer a break, and she kind of like her eyes kind of flit to like the bell, but you can only do so much."
Right, you are, love. Sometimes we all need a little bit of help getting through life.
I've heard that there are those in Char Hollow who would be able to provide such help. I'd hope to avail of that soon. I find that trouble has caught up on those I love, and there's only so much one can shoulder.
Why don't you tell me all about it, love, and we'll see if we can't get you some help now.
I think like she takes a bite from your scone, which probably is really nice. Let's not disparage your cooking skills. And she says, and I am just for Will's sake, because I know you read the Vigilantes playbook, but like I'm messing the starting scenario. It's not exactly like this. No one dares to Widow Penderyn. My brother is after my fancy man got lost in the war. My brother has taken it upon himself to provide for myself and my family. But unlike my man, my brother, he has notions about what he can do and what he's capable of. He's claimed to. I'm sure, ma'am, you've heard about all this dreadful business about snuff going around the district. Well, he's claimed to be a part of that market. And no sooner than a few days after he's made that claim, he's just gone. He's vanished into the wind. No sign, no whispers, just very little sign of where he's been.
Oh, I've heard all about this. I mean, snuff. It's a filthy habit, and she sort of blows a smoke ring, and says, "Well, I can certainly help. I can certainly keep my ear to the ground and see if I can't find out what's happened to your brother. What's his name?"
His name is Arco Llewellyn. Put it there. Great, I just had to try to spell Llewellyn, and that's all I didn't know. There we go. Arco Llewellyn. He usually works at the docks, but he calls Char Hollow home, of course. And last I heard of him, he was entertaining guests at his house. But I've been over his house in the past 2 days, and there's just been no sign of him. No sign at all.
Well, that does sound suspicious. But I know a couple of people. I'll put in a good word, and I'm sure we can find out where your brother's got up to. And well, she'll pat her shoulder and say, and I'm sure they'll do their best to get him back to you.
I think this woman, you know her name. Her name is Ramira. I'll put that in the chat. So she kind of gives her kind of this sad smile, and again she looks distressingly tired. And kind of as you probably get him to leave, she kind of puts her hand out and says, do you mind if I ask for another scone?
Of course, dear. You got kiddies at home?
I have a daughter, Brenna. She's my pride and joy.
Well, and she'll hand over the basket and say, "You take those back with you. They'll you focus on keeping an eye on your little girl, and I'll see what we can do."
Cool. And yeah, she'll take the basket, and I think we've been here for an hour and a half. It's probably only an hour in the recording, but we did some character creation beforehand. So let's take a good 10-minute break, and then we'll get around gather information, and then we'll jump into find this poor boy. Oh yeah, he's a boy. Yeah, this poor chap. So yeah, let's take 10, and I'm gonna pause recording, and yeah, see you in a bit. All right. Oh man, I'm not used to like getting to pause recording. Usually you have to put on music. Thanks, Jitsi. I missed that a bit, but hi, welcome back to our run through plates in the dark. So you have an ostensible like job or whatnot, but obviously not enough to like execute like a score or do like padding and whatnot. So we're going into the kind of gather information phase. Basically, I'm gonna go to like each person and ask like, what are you doing to like gather info about this missing bloke named Arco, who is like, what you know is like, yeah, he's brothers to Ramira. He got involved into snuff into the snuff business, and he's been missing for 2 days. So like here you tell me like what does your character do to like investigate? Like do they like chat up some contacts? Do they like survey some places? Like break into some places to look through them? Do they like talk to any people that they know? Do they like spy on people? And depending on whether there's risk or not, I might get you to do an action roll or just a fortune roll, which is, there's no risk to that. We're just going to like roll some dice, see how good the info is. It depends on what you're doing, for sure. So I'll give you like a minute to think about like what your characters should be doing to look into this. Because clearly there's not enough info to like even decide a kind of plan to do. But I do kind of want to see like, how your characters like work the beat, so to speak. Yeah, I'll give you like a minute to think about what to do, and then we'll probably go in like same order as always. So if you were talking about being always last, Will, well, too bad. Now you're always first.
No, I'm always first. I think that's a heavier burden to bear, to be honest.
If you don't want to, it's fine. I can move the.
No. I'm fine. I'm fine. I think I was thinking that. So we know that he's involved in this snuff trade, right? And we were talking about how there's a black market, there's criminal activity going on around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that Solomon knows of like a blue coat squad that's basically taking payments from some of these black market merchants, some of these Del Boys, some of these sort of EastEnders characters that are flogging snuff off the back of a canal boat, and paying the blue coats to turn a blind eye. And I think that I pay because I know the group of blue coats that are taking the bribes. I know who's bribing them, and I appear as a Redcoat one night, and I'm going to try and intimidate them to like, tell me about, what's this about people going missing? Swear to me, kind of stuff.
Okay. This sounds like there's some risk to this. I'm gonna say like even with a failure, you're still gonna get some info, but like other people could be watching. So what do you? Oh, so okay. So let's go through how an action roll works, mostly for benefits of those who might have played Forge in the Dark. So yeah, you're in this like you're probably like you're jumping on these blue coats. Yeah, swear to me in an alleyway near the canals.
Oh no, I was thinking of not jumping on the blue coats, jumping on the person bribing the blue coats.
Oh
like
yes,
the criminal involved.
Yeah, they probably like as they pull off they're talking about we made this much coin, and then you just speak up. You're just sitting behind them, something like that.
No, they're like, oh, we don't even have to worry about those blue coats. They were dead cheap. I paid them off right smart. It's fine. No need to worry. And then Redcoat comes looming in through the door. Like, I think I would be rolling command perhaps for the action. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So So how it works? This is for for your benefit, Steven, because you've not played Forge in the Dark. I ask what action rating you roll. Those are commands there. And if you don't know what those are, I think you can mouse over them and they'll tell you what they are. And then I set the position and effect. Position basically tells you and me how bad things can go if you don't get a full success. So this is going to be risky. This is so there's always risk when you do this, and that's kind of like the standard. That's the middle ground. There's controlled, which case it's things won't go break that bad, and then there's desperate, where things can get really bad if you get a miss, but you get XP. So that's the trade-off. So right now this is risky, and then there's effect, which tells you and me again just how effective the action's going to be if it succeeds. There's standard, which is again the middle ground. There's limited, which it'll be just about, and then there's great, which is very good, and there's usually a critical if you go above great. mechanically, that's for like figuring out how to fill up clocks. Like, standard would fill up 2 ticks in a clock in an action clock. But it also tells you like how good it's going to be. I'm gonna say this is gonna be with great effect. And again, there's lots of factors that kind of determines this. And it is when you first start running this, it's always a bit of a it's hard to like wrap around like, all right, what affects what factor? Do you have like a fine code? Or do you have a fine weapon? I'm gonna say this is great because people know of Redcoat. There's a bit of risk to that. And yeah, then you're muted, Will.
I imagine this guy's quite a weaselly sort of like criminal type.
Yeah.
It's the guy that Daredevil beats up at the start of every season to sort of find out what's going on in the underworld.
Oh, the poor
Poor Turk, man.
Yeah, Turk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, okay, clearly we need to give this person a name now.
He's just an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd say this is going to be great because you probably leaned on this poor slap before. And then we're going to build a dice pool. Usually I ask if anyone can assist, but doesn't sound like anyone else is going to be there. Assisting is like you tell how your character is assisting person. You spend 1 stress and they get an extra die because we basically roll a dice pool of these 6s, and 1 to 3 is a failure, 4 to 5 is a mixed success, and 6 is a success. 2 6s is a crit. Basically, usually crit means you do it with increased effect. So no one's assisting, and then so you don't get that die. And then the other way to get extra die is you can either push yourself, which is you spend 2 stress, you get 1 extra die, or you take a devil's bargain, which is basically a complication from the GM that is going to happen regardless of whether your dice roll is a failure or success.
Yeah.
But you do get an extra die. So do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
No. How many dice would I be rolling with 1 in the stat?
1, just 1. One dot equals 1 die.
Just 1. Okay. I'm in a risky position. I think I will push it. Why not? First roll of the game.
Cool. All right. So take 2 stress. And yeah, and with these nice roll 20 sheets, all you have to do to roll the action ratings, you click on the word itself. So you click command and you set position, which is risky, and then effect, which is great. And then you see add and ask for bonus die. You have 1.
Because that's the stress dice then.
Yes.
The push dice, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah. Oh,
I got
hey,
6.
You got a 6.
Ta-da.
Nice. Hell yeah. So I think this poor chap who, let's see, let me look at my Blade's name generator. What's their name?
Vermin.
Okay. Yeah, you call him Vermin. Vermin. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Vermin. I hear you've been sniffing around in some snuff.
I told you my name is Phineas. It's and you wouldn't. And he's on his knees already. It's like it's just the local flavor. It's all what the cool gangs are on right now. You wouldn't begrudge me from dipping my nose, so to speak, in the local business.
People are getting hurt though, Vermin. People are getting hurt. People are going missing. I don't like that.
Sir, you do realize what city you're in, right?
I think then he just sort of steps over and like pushes him down on a seat, like, and just he's like, my city.
Yes. And I think like he's poor Vermin is like really sweaty. I'm imagining he has a monk haircut. I don't know why. It's just what his haircut is. He's like, you're not here to. I'm just doing. I took your advisement, sir. This isn't. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not making anyone disappear. That's beyond my purview, sir. That's beyond the purview you gave me.
Listen, Vermin, I never thought for a second that you'd have the guts to do something like this. But you know who might, and who's up to something.
I think like if because this is a risky grade, normally I'd like, and it's a 6, you got a success, you probably like ask for like something repayment, but no, he's just gonna give it up. It's just like what it's those what's that? It's those bloody ugh. Sorry, I'm getting into this accent. It's those bloody fog hounders. They're the fog hounds, sir. They're normally they're confined to the docks and whatnot, but they're overstretching their bounds, is what I heard. I've heard scuttlebutt that they're the ones who brought this snuff business into Duskwall. You know, they've got roots to the outside, and they're hoping to set up shop here in Char Hollow. No, not that I've profiteered or anything from them setting up shop. No, sir, no. This snuff, and he kind of like pats like the boxes that he has on his table. This is my own brand, sir. This is proper Phineas Inouye productions, sir. Nothing like what the mad juju stuff the Fog Hounds have brought in.
Where do I find them?
You got a risky crate. Here's another thing. When I run Forge in the Dark, everyone rolls a 6. David can attest to this.
Well, I mean, we can cut the scene here, and we can go to somebody else's gathering.
I think he'll tell you. Basically, you'll know where the Fog Hound is like setting up shop in Duskwall.
Cool.
And I will roll some.
So we now know that the Fog Hounds are like behind this stranger snuff trade that's bordering on the illegal, like entering the black markets kind of thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps it hasn't been through Duskwall's FDA. Who knows?
Duskwall FDA. That's another crew that needs to be made. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
There's actually a gang already, isn't there? There's a Ministry of Preservation or whatever.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I will roll some dice. So you have like a target anyway, place. But yeah, let's cut away from Redcoat doing what Redcoat does and see how everyone else is like gathering info for this job. We probably like go if you want. We can go on and listen. I can call people out, but if you like need like another minute to think about what your character is up to, like soliciting contacts, and we can say that everything like Redcoat finds out, it kind of gets filtered to everyone else. We can say this happening in a matter of like days. It's not all happening at the same day. Like soon after you take the job from Ramira. Like this is kind of like montage out.
But yeah, I think that Daphne is just going to kind of get on the gossip train and just see if she can find out more about what Arco was up to, who specifically he may have dealt with, that sort of thing.
Cool. What are you rolling with? So I know you have an ability.
I think that I was going to say, I think I'm going to go with consort, and I think this will be kind of, I think we'll kind of get the montage of her, probably just like at the Eel and Bucket. She's drinking gin with a few of the clientele in there, asking after this boy. His sister's worried about him. Hope he hasn't gotten himself into any sort of mischief, that kind of thing.
That's fair. I think because this is quite a bit public, and I know this is your place. I think there's still an element of risk to this, but because it's your consort,
Certainly.
It's going to be controlled. It's going to be controlled. So you're at your element. It's out in the open, but like you've got control of the situation. I'm gonna say this is standard for sure.
Thing. Yeah.
Cool. And is anyone assisting in this? Like, you don't have to. It's perfectly fine if like everyone else is doing something. If not, do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
No, I think I'm okay on this one. I've got the bonus die from my ability, so I think I'll just trust in that and see how badly this goes.
You'll be fine. Come on. Control. Oh my God, that's a 1 and a 3 and a 1. Wow. Okay. Give me a second. I need to actually consult the the action roll summary for this. Yeah, I didn't notice as well in our Band of Blades game. Was it 4 dice and none of them was a success? So that's a
Yeah.
spoiler for the next
In
Band
fact,
of Blades.
the highest was a 2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that does happen. Okay, hold on. Let me the action roll summary. I actually do need to what happens on a controlled miss. Oh, it's at the very bottom. Here we go. On a 1 to 3, you falter. Press on by seeking a risky opportunity or withdraw and try a different approach. Here's what happens. So you have to push through to get this info. You're talking to Elon Bucket, and I think the door opens and there's kind of like this gaggle of like toughs, kind of like this clearly like a gang kind of like saunters in, which is weird because Char Hollow, it's not like Crow's Foot, you know. Crow's Foot is where all the gangs come to beat each other up for control of it. Char Hollow is usually quite tight knit. You know, that's where everyone's kind of united. So it's weird, like this particular like just group. There's like 5 of them. It's a mixture of like, you know, men and women and all that. They hold on, let me sorry, I'm looking at a specific thing in the book. Okay, all right, cool. They kind of like I think whoever you're talking to is probably like, you know, one of probably just a regular, maybe even like just like, yeah, one of the random people in the pub. I think this gang kind of like sits near you. Let you roll the same dice, but it's gonna be like risky standard now instead of controlled standard. But there's gonna be a gang nearby.
Certainly.
Or you can roll back. I'll still give you some info, but like it won't be as good.
I'm going to press on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think and in fact I think as Daphne sees this group come in, I think she maybe even almost raises her voice slightly when she's talking, so that maybe they can overhear her. And yeah, I will roll.
Yes, it's now risky standard, and yeah, it's still 3d6 because you got that ability, weaving the web, which is really neat. Sure, don't want to push yourself or take a bargain this time?
I'm going to risk it. I'm going to see where this ends up.
Hey, here's a
There.
6. Cool. All right. So 6 on a risky standard. Let's see. Yeah, you do it. So you're looking for like what Arco has been doing, right? And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So Ramiro told you like, yeah, he got into like the the snuff business, and I think what you hear, and you hear this from I'm gonna say like this bloke, he's not a business owner because they don't live in Char Hollow. He works at like a tobacconist, probably. And this guy kind of says like, oh yeah, I've heard. I remember Harco. He was he popped by the business at one point, and at our business we had just run out of the tobacco, and he was claiming that he could get us in touch with more supply, so to speak. And I heard my my boss ask him like, how did he get a hold of all of this? And he said out loud that he had recently brokered a deal with the Fog Hounds, and I couldn't exactly hear what it is, the other group, but like this guy Arco was sauntering about, and I've heard this from my other coworkers, so that he was wandering around other places trying to like sell his like wares, and he's been claiming that he could get you in touch with the Fog Hounds, and you can be in touch of all this goods. he was not being subtle about it, I'd say. Daphne, this boy was asking for trouble.
Well, I hope he hasn't found him. And, if you do see him again, just tell him his sister's worried about him and to, get himself home.
Right, you are, ma'am. Because it's a 6, I'm going to give you 2 things. One, a follow-up question, which could be like, you maybe ask other people around. And the other thing is an extra tidbit that may or may not be involved with this score. Any follow-up questions, you think?
Yeah. I think what I'm interested in is if it's actually the Fog Hounds that have done something to him, or if it's essentially a third party thinks he's in with the Fog Hounds and has jumped him for that reason. And I think maybe the way I get this is just by like the reaction of the of those sort of gang members that have come into the bar.
Ooh, yeah. I think they kind of overhear you. They obviously overhear because you raised your voice so that they would hear this. And I think the reaction is basically like a few of them kind of stick around, but like one of them, this tall lady in this big coat, kind of like stands up almost abruptly, and she's followed by like, and this is me like combining probably like the other thing I was gonna say. This tall lady kind of like stands up, kind of like almost throws a furtive look around you, and she's followed by 2 others from the gang, and there's like 2 left in the bar, and I think you can hear them kind of like shaking their heads at their fellow gangs like reactions, and they're almost gonna say they say out loud, almost to your benefit, ha, those Fog Hounds won't know what hit them now they know Brenna's coming after them. And I remind you, like, Brenna is the name of Ramira's daughter. So I think what you can get from that is that it seems like maybe like the Fog Hounds probably got to Arco. And like what you get from that is like now this other gang is kind of like now going after the Fog Hounds. Is that okay for 6? Cool. All right. So what about Basil and Victoria? What are you doing to like gather info? Is there anything you're breaking into, or any people you talk to?
Why do you
I don't know.
why when you talk to me, Leander, do you keep saying, are you going to break into somewhere? Is there going to be like, just
that's your
because
thing.
that's what I'm going to be doing?
What else are you gonna do?
Yes,
like,
I'll be.
actually,
I'm going to. Yeah, so I'm going to let myself into his bachelor apartment, or suite he shares with his sister, or wherever it is that our missing entrepreneur would normally hang his hat. I'm going to wait until dark and then let myself in and have a look around.
Cool. I think because you have that ability, there's not even any risk to this. You can just get in. It's fine. You broke into harder places than this guy. This guy lives in a dive apartment. He's got like his own living space. Like he says he's looking after his sister, but like clearly his sister is like somewhere else, her family's there, and he has his own place.
Yeah, like it's not so much the getting in, it's the surveying the scene when I'm there to see if I can, because I mean he's not gonna just leave out records of whatever shady business he's in. It's ferreting that out that is the bigger challenge.
That is true. And I will say right now he lives in a tenement building, because a lot of people in Char Hollow does that. So there is like the risk of people noticing. But I will say, because first off, I want to ask, what are you rolling with when you're surveying the place? I guess survey.
I think survey. I'm going to use survey. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's controlled, again, because I want to acknowledge that you're damn good at this. So it's going to be
Yep.
controlled. And I'm going to say standard. I think this place, I don't want to make out Arco as like just an idiot. I think he knows to an extent what he's doing. So the effect is going to be standard. Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
Oh, hand me a devil's bargain.
Okay. I think okay. I'll give you this in a way that like that Victoria will notice, that the Midnight Magpie will notice. Let me ask you actually this. What's the feeling you get when you're around a ghost? Like when you're around Soren? What's kind of like how does that feel?
Oh, you know what? I think the way it manifests in me, is that, like I get a little ringing in my ears, like a little tinnitus.
Yeah. So I think like,
something about their presence. I get just a little like, like that.
Yeah. So I think what's gonna happen is, if you take this bargain, is that like I'm gonna put a 4-step clock, and this is gonna be like this is gonna be concurrent throughout the entire campaign, just called like the undead's attention. And if you take this ringing will like just happen, and you'll know that like someone else is poking through this.
Yeah, notice of the spirits, sure.
Oh, a
yeah,
specific
I'll totally
spirit. A specific spirit. You don't know yet.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I'll totally take that. That's not even.
All right.
You know me well enough to hand me things. There's just no way I'm turning them down. So
okay. I just realized I have not put up the clocks token for this. Again, I'm mistaking this for my other Blades game. So for right now, this clock is going to be in the clue sheet.
Cool. So I'll take the. I think I'll take the extra die for that. So I'm rolling on 2 dice, but I'll leave my effect at standard.
Cool. Controlled standard.
So should I go ahead and roll that up?
Yep.
All right. Let's see what we got happening here. Let me make sure I know which. All right. Survey. Position controlled. Effect standard. Bonus dice 1.
Hey.
There's a 4. There's a 4.
There's a 4. All right. Yeah. So you're not going to withdraw and try a different approach. You take the minor complication or consequence.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess tell me what it is, and then if I want to resist it, I can.
Okay. Yeah. So I think his place is it's more sparse than you probably expect. You can tell, but I think through your practice eyes, you can tell this guy's hiding something, and you can kind of like see through his logic of where he's hiding it. And what you'll notice is that his like dinner table-ish, kind of like where he eats dinner, it's actually like bolted to the ground, and your eyes go down, you see like, oh yeah, there is a trap door on that ground. And I think when you open the trap door, you'll see like a bunch of stuff kind of been tossed. You can see like you can smell the snuff that would used to be underneath this like crevice underneath the floors. And I think you see like some letters, almost like ad copy that he's
like
written.
hand bills or something like that. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like advertisements to sell this kind of like snuff. There's one to the Fog Hounds. There's one to the Crows. Basically, like to all these sorts of other gangs. But I think when you like brush like a hand against where the snuff was, that ringing gets just that bit sharper. And I think the complication is because I don't want to like trap you into a moment where you have to like roll to get out. So I think the complication basically, I'm gonna add ticks to that attention clock. for sure. It's gonna be. I'm gonna make it halfway through, like 2 takes. That seems fine.
Yeah, I'm
right?
gonna. Can I resist that?
Yeah, absolutely. To explain this, Stephen, basically, if a complication happens, you can always resist that. You can say, nope, that doesn't happen. Like, it could be you get stabbed, or you get discovered, or, back to the ELV steamship explanation, your boat gets dashed with a steamship. You can say, no, that doesn't happen. And it's automatically effective, and we'll roll to see how much stress you take, because resisting is 6 minus what attribute category you are rolling with, and I get to choose that. I'm gonna say this is with insight.
Yeah, because I think the way that I'm going to resist it is, as I realize that whatever this spirit is starting to notice, I immediately very carefully attempt to put everything back in exactly the way that I found it, to try and, if I can trick the ghost into thinking that it was just disturbed momentarily, but that it's all back the way that it's supposed to be, to calm it back down. That's how I'm going to try and resist. That's how I'm resisting that.
Oh yeah. I think you can you can click insight, and I think it'll just roll, and you don't get any bonus dice for this.
No bonus dice. Submit. Boom! I got a 5.
Hell yeah!
So that's cool. So
1 stress.
1 stress.
Hell yeah! So okay. So what we know so far is the Fog Hounds have a place. Arco has probably been jumped by the Fog Hounds because he's been claiming to be them, and Victoria has found out that he's been trying to sell supernatural snuff. Oh, sorry.
I found out that he's an idiot because he's been trying to sell it to a bunch of competing different gangs.
Yeah.
So, yes, but I've committed these documents to memory, but carefully replace them back. Put that trap door down exactly where it was supposed to go, and then I just let myself right back out the window that I came in through.
Cool. All right. So I think we have one that we have Basil Slider. Well, what are you doing to even just prepare, or is there anything you're doing to look into and gather some info? You're muted, Stephen.
Sorry about that. So I think the scene you see, if anyone's seen the clock tower scene from Saving Private Ryan, where there's a sniper in the clock tower, it's raining. You guys have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you see a lot of the Fog Hounds that were in the previous scene walking back and forth and going about their business. And then the camera zooms up, and in this high tower, secluded back from a kind of a ruined window, you see Slider just laying there with a rifle next to him, just watching the Fog Hounds go back and forth below. And what he's trying to figure out is what they do with bodies after they kill people.
Ooh.
Basically who their cleaning crew is.
Ooh, that's interesting. All right. So tell me, what are you rolling with?
I think what's his main attribute? I've gotten rid of his sheet now. The one at the top, is that hunt?
Yes, hunt. That absolutely fits this, because hunt the target, gather information, what's location. Yeah, you know where the Fog Hounds are.
Gather information about location and movements. That is exactly what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll say right now, the place that Redcoat found, it's like this abandoned shop, but you can see there's a nexus of canals kind of around it. So good place to claim if you're moving stuff into Char Hollow when you're not particularly there. That's where you see where the Fog Hounds are. All right.
Yeah.
So I think
so. And I'm assuming it's over the course of a few days that he's been up here, kind of watching their movements over time. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this is again controlled. Controlled standard, I would say.
Okay, so I just hit 2d6. Is that right?
No, you click hunt. You can click the button there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, you set the position, which is controlled, and the effect, which is going to be standard, and bonus dice. Do you want to push yourself, which costs 2 stress, or take a devil's bargain?
Okay, so first off, it's saying position controlled, and then I hit submit. Is it going to give me another window? Okay.
Yes.
And then effect is standard. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll do a devil's bargain. That sounds fun.
Okay. What does Steiner look like?
Steiner looks completely average, actually. Steiner looks you would immediately forget him if you saw him in a crowd, except for the fact that his eyes are just completely ice cold. So anyone that just sees him almost preternaturally kind of forgets that they've seen the guy. It's only when people really pay attention to him that they see that he's got these shark eyes.
Cool. So the devil's bargain, which if you choose to take, is that you're just looking through and you'll see him watching you. He's not with the Fog Hounds, but like he's nearby. But you don't know if he's like working with them or working around them. But like, yeah, if you just like turn your scope, you will see that he's watching you from where he is, which is a bit weird. Do you want to take that bargain?
Yeah, I'll take that bargain.
Hell yeah. So you get one extra bonus die.
Okay, so I'm going to click submit on standard, and then it'll give me a bonus die. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay, and then I hit submit.
Yes.
Gotcha.
There you go. You got a 5. 5 is a mixed success, so there's a bit of hesitation. But if you choose to press on, in which case there's going to be just a minor consequence. You either get reduced effect or lesser harm, or end up in a risky position. Here's kind of like what happens, and we'll see what you decide. So you're watching this abandoned store, and you see like people moving in and out, and I think you will see for a moment like a scuffle near the back, and you almost see like this face kind of like burst out of the building, and you will recognize that like this person is obviously related to Ramira. They look quite alike, this guy, and he looks disheveled, like he hasn't slept in a while. He's not been like beaten. Well, he's got like a bruise, but that's about it. And then I think here's the complication. And you accepted the bargain. So he sees you. Steiner sees you, and then he almost kind of like he looks towards where you were looking at, and then if you look back at Steiner, he kind of like gives you like a short wave, and then he kind of like moves towards where our Arco is running, and just kind of like gives him a very quick like punch, and Arco falls quiet, just gets knocked out, and Steiner kind of like drags him back inside the store. And the complications going to happen is that they're going to know you're coming, or they're going to know that Steiner is going to let them know that you're interested, in which case there's people watching out for them. Is that a fair complication?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Okay, so we know the place, we know the details, kind of like why he's there, who's keeping him, that he's still alive, and normally, and here, let me read a bit from the book, because I always like this bit, and I'm conscious that we have a bit of time, but we'll see the start of this and see if we can wrap this up quickly. So, the score, planning and engagement. Your crew spends time planning each score. They huddle around a flickering lantern in the lair, looking at scrawled maps, whispering about plots and schemes, bickering about the best approach, lamenting the dangers ahead. But you don't have to do that. You, the players, don't have to do the nitty-gritty. The characters have taken care of that. Instead, what you choose is the plan, the type of plan the characters have already made. Don't need to sweat all the little details, and the detail. All those are kind of on your sheets, but I'll run through them for anyone who might be watching this. There is the assault plan, which is to do violence to a target, and the detail is the point of attack. There's deception, which is to lure, trick, or manipulate. The detail is the method of deception. There's stealth, which is trespass unseen, and the detail is the point of infiltration, where you penetrate the place. There's occult, which is engage a supernatural power. And the detail is the arcane method. Like, I don't know, you unleash ghosts on them or summon a demon underneath their building. You have to do that. There's social, which is negotiate, bargain, or persuade. And the detail is the social connection. This is basically going straight up to them and trying and talking to them straight up. And there's transport, which is carry cargo of people through danger. And the detail will be the route, and the means.
Well, presumably we could also use social if we wanted to run like a leverage style con on them, right? We'd use social for that.
Kinda, yeah. That would be more like a deception, really, because it's luring and tricking.
Oh, deception. Okay, sure. Yeah, there you go. All right, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all you do is pick a plan and add like the detail. You don't need to like fuss over the nitty gritty because that's what we'll get to flashbacks when we get to it. But yeah, I have an idea of what plan to like get in and get this person out. Yeah, well, I'll run through the facts again. So, Fog Hounds have Arco. Arco has been trying to sell some sort of snuff to all these other gangs and setting himself up as a snuff salesman. You know that like there's this other gang. I should have been more explicit, but the other gang in the inn that Widow Penderyn was in, they're separate from the Fog Hounds. They're one of them is Arco's niece, who has gone off to try and rescue him. So there's going to be some chaos there. And yeah, that the Fog Hounds are trying to branch out into Char Hollow. So what plan like suits y'all? Who do you think would fit to this?
I mean, this is basically a jailbreak, right? Like our goal
Yes.
is to get him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that sounds like stealth to me.
Sure.
We want to sneak in, get him out, maybe have some kind of a distraction to make it easier, but like we don't want to blow the place up or anything and get, a whole gang after us. We just want to try and get him out of there.
All right. Cool. So what's the detail? See, the detail for stealth is kind of like the point of infiltration. Oh,
entry point. Yeah.
yes.
And so what's the deal? He's in this, he's like being held in a, what is this, like a tenement or a warehouse or like where are they keeping him?
I was imagining it's like this abandoned like shop. And what you kind of find out, what you find out Redcoat from Poor Vermin is like this shop is like, it used to be like this old gondolier outpost. So there's like a lot of like canals going through it. So,
oh my God. Then yeah, point of entry is totally like up from underneath from the canal.
Hell yeah. All right. So
yeah, that's total. Yeah.
All right. So
I mean,
next...
sorry. And I don't mean to just be taking this over. Does that make sense to everybody? Is that like, it's just that whole like kind of up from underneath, like through the tiny little back door that you can reach the canal from the basement and stuff. That sounds like the way that we're getting into this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So next is you after the plan and detail in place, each player chooses their character's load. This indicates how much stuff they're carrying on the operation. They don't have to select individual items, just the maximum amount. And load kind of determines quite a number of things. Like say if you pick heavy, that means you're not subtle. You're clearly kitted out. And that could affect like, trying to run after someone, like, or trying to fight someone. Like heavy load fighting someone, that seems grand. But heavy load trying to like parkour your way through the city, God no. You're going to be like limited or worse effect. Or your position could be risky. Like, you're wearing heavy and you try to like sneak into a window. Like that's going to be a bit desperate and a bit limited. You don't want that. I'm curious to see like, Widow Penderyn in action. Because like I've heard spiders who manage to like pull off a score by even just not being there, by just continually flashbacking like, oh, I prepared for this. Oh, I bribed some guards. That's what I'm curious.
Yeah, that's definitely more the angle I was thinking for the Widow Penderyn, and she'll be more behind the scenes rather than leaping from rooftop to rooftop, I think.
Yeah,
but we'll see what comes up.
Maybe you talk to that other gang to provide a distraction, or maybe you brought in the attention to like distract the fire. We'll see. Yeah, it's up to you. But yeah, give you a minute to pick your load. Basically, italicized items, they don't take up load, and also because of your vigilante rigging, you have 2 free load of weapons or supplies. So, for example, you could carry subterfuge supplies and a long blade for 0 load. So you've got that. And items can again help position an effect. So like say you're trying to stab someone, you best mark off you have a blade or 2. Otherwise you won't have much effect.
We just choose load, don't we?
Yes, you just choose.
So I think so if we have the Vigilantes crew sheet, that's 2 free weapon load, is it? 2 free.
Yeah, it's for weapons or supplies.
Okay, so I can always carry around a big heavy weapon, which I think has to be like a big old like blue coat club kind of thing, like a baton, like a billy club basically. So I'm just thinking about it because I'm like, oh, how do I? Because I'm not really picturing like being a vigilante wielding around like two shivs all the time.
That's true.
And I'm going light, as I almost always do.
Hell yeah. Ooh, wonder what that shadow cloak looks like. Oh, we'll see. So Redcoat. I guess we should slip into superhero mode once we're on the job.
I think I'll go light as well, given that we've got the 2 extra free slots, because that's 5, isn't it? Anyways, with that, so
yes,
a lot.
Which is quite a lot, yeah. And Slider and Widow.
I think I'll go light.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going light as well.
Cool. All right. So let's see. Also, the way this is going to work is like, because, I'm conscious we only have half an hour. So we're going to do this John Harper style in that enough. You fill this clock, you win. You win the score. And once we've chosen the plan in detail, now we cut to the action. But how is it established? We do the engagement roll. So this is a fortune roll, which basically determines what position y'all are going to be in once the action starts rolling. So it's a fortune roll. We're going to start with 1 die for sheer luck, and then we modify it depending on some advantages or disadvantages. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? I'll leave you all to answer that.
I mean, it's ballsy that we're going in to steal a prisoner right out from under their noses.
Yeah, I'll give that to you, yourselves. And you are technically tier 0, and Fog Hounds, they are like a tier above. So this is particularly daring to thumb your nose at them. So that's 1 die. Is this operation overly complex? I had to. Overly complex or contingent on many factors? No. Get in, get out. Simple enough. So here's the 2 dice. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? I will say that, even though they got this place because, many canals, it's useful for us. That means people can sneak in, It's a good detail to hit them. So you have 3 dice. Is the target strongest against approach? No. What the thing I should also emphasize, they're kind of just moving in. They're trying to get a toehold, so they've not set up defenses. So you're 3 dice. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? No, I think you kind of jumped into this. I will say, are any enemies or rivals interfering in the operation? Yes. You took that bargain, Slider. So I'm going to take away a die. You're now down to 2 dice. Are there other elements? I'm going to say, even though they're a higher tier, it's still tier 1, so it won't affect too much against you. So you're going to be at 2 dice. Who wants to roll?
I add a dice as well for having gathered information.
Oh, yes.
Spider.
Yeah. Weaving the web is really good. Yeah, you get 1 die to the engagement roll. So 3d6. Who wants to roll that?
Well, I think it's the spider that gathered the most info. She actually got this case for us.
Yeah.
Sure thing. I'll take this one then.
Yeah. The roll fortune is underneath shrewd friends, if you're looking for that.
Cool.
3 dice. Oh dear. She's not showing up.
Oh no, so there's another box popped up that I wasn't expecting.
Oh my gosh.
Hooray.
You're in a desperate position.
XP for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So, you've already, just to like color this in, I want to know, Widow Penderyn, what was going to be like your plan? Because obviously you're not up for jumping around rooftops. What was going to be like your planned sort of like distraction? Let me hear what the spider's plans are.
Yeah, so I think that while the others are sort of planning on the infiltration, I think I think we get a couple of different montage shots of the Widow Penderyn wandering around between a few different like pubs and stuff, and popping in there and having a drink, and gossiping as she does. And I think we see her sort of planting the seeds of with a few of the different. So like with the maybe in one pub there's a couple of Fog Hounds in there. In another, so a couple of these other gang members that she's seen. And I think she's basically setting them up to be like throwing down in a fight, like as the infiltration begins.
Yeah, and okay, here's what happens then. Kind of jives with like what I had in mind. So there's three of you, the active members of this gang. Kind of like, yeah, you go into the canals. It's fetid, it's moist, it's it's not exactly high society, and you see like there's like this. You see where where you go up this ladder. You kind of like come up to where this building is. And I think I'm gonna say, because you roll the highest roll is a 2, so I have control of where to put you into the action. Here's kind of what happens. I think Redcoat, you're up first, and as soon as like you poke your head through the trap door, these big burly hands grab at your shoulder, and you're not a small guy, but these hands kind of lift you up and toss you like against these cabinets. And no, you're not going to get harmed, but like you're just going to get tossed into, and you just see like you see this big burly sort of like this burly motherfucker, and he's wearing like this bear sort of cloak. It's like a fur coat, and it's got a bear head on it, and you know him as the Fog Hound second command. His name is Bear. And and he kind of like cracks his knuckles and says, "Shouldn't have made that much noise, Redcoat." And I think to the other two down at the canals, you see like Redcoat get lifted up, and he gets thrown into this like kind of dingy like lit room, and you can hear Redcoat outside. There's shoutings and fightings are happening, and seems like there's chaos outside the building. But for you two, you hear voices coming down from somewhere out in the canals. More people coming through. You're not the only ones who are using this route. I'm gonna say Widow Penderyn did too well in her job stirring up the pot, and your nominal escape route is kind of a bit cut off now. So I'm gonna put a clock. It's gonna be an 8-step clock, and it's gonna be find Arco and go. Any action you go into like trying to find Arco and escaping, which usually maybe not, it doesn't involve getting into a fight with Bear, will fill that clock. And once I fill the clock, you'll finish the score. That's how I'm keeping this like light and sharp. And yeah, in Widow Penderyn, you got flashbacks, you can set up stuff, you can do that. And I should explain flashbacks as well for you, Steven. There's a mechanic here in Blades where how we didn't plan out, but the characters totally did. You can say like, oh, flashback, I totally planned this thing. Like say you get caught by some guards. You can say, oh, flashback, I totally bribed these guards. We're A-okay. And then you tell me what the flashback is. I'll tell you what the stress cost is, depending on how unlikely or convoluted this flashback is. Don't worry, it only goes up to 2. Then you roll an action to see how well you did in that action, and then we'll see how it goes. It can't negate what's happened. Like, say you can't flash back to like, oh, these guards didn't stumble onto us. They had a different patrol. You can't do that. But you can flash back to say, oh, I bribed them, or, I've planted these sleep mines. I don't know, or something like that. So that's what flashbacks are. So keep that in mind. But let's cut to Redcoat first, because you just got thrown into a bunch of tables. And also right now, Bear is not alone. He's got like 2 Fog Hound goons with him. He's got his lackeys. But then, yeah, Bear's cracking his knuckles. He's not really noticed the other 2 yet down on the table. But yeah, Redcoat, what do you do?
I think that I'm going to take on this small gang on an equal footing in close combat. And I think that Redcoat's basically like trying to occupy all of the gang at once, like it's not a fight that he's hoping to win, it's just to sort of like, he's running interference, like he's punching one, he's ducking another, he's just like occupying the whole room. And I think I'll be using, I've got 5 things to do, so I'm going to use a large weapon, perhaps.
Yeah.
And
I would advise, like, you see you have in the gray box, fine heavy weapon. I'd always
fine
go
heavy weapon. Yeah,
yeah,
fine.
I'd always go with fine because it ups your effect.
Yeah, cool. A fine heavy weapon, which is this. I think a fine heavy weapon is like a pair of knuckle dusters and this big baton that he has as well. That's like steel.
Hell yeah. Yes, and I would say to engage the small guy on equal footing, says you have that ability not to be trifling. You do need to push yourself.
Yeah,
I'll get you an extra. Yeah, I'll get you an extra die. What are you rolling with?
I think that sounds like skirmish, doesn't it?
Hell yeah. You are in a desperate position, I'll say. So you mark XP in that prowess track.
Okay.
Hell yeah. And desperate. I'm gonna say going up to a small gang, you raise your effect from limited to standard. With a fine heavy weapon, it's actually great. So you can take on Bear and his gang equal footing, which is great. You push yourself to get 1 extra die, so you need to take a devil's bargain. Is anyone assisting?
No, I think whoever assists me is going to be in combat with me, rather than perhaps sneaking through to get.
That's true.
Yeah, you kind of got hauled up into the lion's den there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd like to call in a flashback here if I can.
Ooh, it's the flashback.
To basically give an assist, but so yeah, I think we see again back in this sort of montage of the Widow Penderyn, in the chatting to people in pubs. And I think we actually see her with Bear and like one of the other guys in here, and they're playing like some sort of card game, and the widow's put a bottle of whiskey down, sort of obviously as a bet, and they play a couple of hands of cards, and then she loses and they take it. I think we sort of flash back into the we flash back into the present scene, we can see kind of that half-drunk bottle of whiskey on a table in here, we just see kind of a shot back into the widow's kitchen, where there's like a sort of bottle of like Dr. Dr. Proctor's patent knockout drops sort of thing.
Hell yeah.
Yes, which I'm going to mark off on my character sheet.
I'll say that like it's fairly convoluted enough that it'll cost you 1 stress for the flashback and another stress for the assist.
Sure thing.
Well, it's like Dr. Proctor's pleasant dreams sleep aid.
Yeah.
You might be. This is an off-label use of it, I feel.
Just about. Yeah, so we're too stressed for that. So you get an extra die. Redcoat. So you got 2 bonus die from pushing. So you're rolling 4 dice on a desperate great. Holy, okay, that's a crit. So what? Okay, all right. Oh man, I want to build up Bear, but you rolled a crit. So what does it look like when I'm gonna say you're gonna beat up the other 2, and Bear is still gonna be there, but like you kind of got his number, but you got his attention, so the other 2 can totally sneak in. But what does that look like?
Well, I think it's like there's like a flurry of blows between Bear and Redcoat, and Redcoat's ducking and weaving out of the way, and then the other 2 guys come running towards him, and he just like takes one of them like straight out in one go, and then Bear grabs him, and he's holding, like, Bear's grabbing Redcoat back, and then Redcoat jumps up and kicks the other guy in the face, like pushing back into Bear and breaking his grasp, and then rolling across, like maybe knocking over a lantern or something, so it's all suddenly around in the this basement-y sort of area that we're in. And just Bear's completely absorbed in the fight, and the other 2 guys are just sprawled out now.
Hell yeah! I'm gonna say this even though it's not directly to it. Otherwise, you got more ticks because of crit. This is gonna add 1 tick to the find Arco clock because you're helping your teammates out. It's in the crew sheet again. I forgot to add like actual clock tokens. But yeah, I'll turn to Victoria or Slider. What do you do? You hear the commotion. You hear that Redcoat. He's doing his thing for sure.
Which one of us?
Either one, whichever you has a idea. I think whoever's up next. I'm gonna say Victoria's probably after Redcoat. So I'll turn to you, Victoria. Like,
cool. Yeah. So you said that we can hear others approaching, like outside.
Yeah,
there's like other people coming
yeah,
towards
from
us.
in the canals area that you're in. Yes.
Okay. I turn to Slider. I say, get their attention, and like I've got like a tight-fitting leather, like one of those suits that you could, what do they call it? Call it cat suit. That's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
With like the, that kind of comes down over the top of my head and stuff. And like up on top of my head are goggles, which I pull down and snap over my eyes. And I like twist the outer edges, like give them like a quarter turn, and they like woo, there's like this like little blue glow that kind of outlines them for a moment. And then if we were to cut back to to my perspective, everything, like where I look, where it's dark, it's like inverted, like a photo negative, right? So I can see stuff in the dark in this kind of like sort of like grayscale photo negative. And I kind of do one of these at him and just do a graceful little dive into the canal.
Ooh.
And like, kind of swim down to the bottom and just sort of, couple of 3-4 dolphin kicks in the direction of where these guys are coming. And, looking up, I can see the silhouettes of like their shoulders and top of their heads as they think they are sneaking along towards us. And I'm just going to do that thing where I just, kick past them and then just come up ever so quietly behind them and just come up behind them. And, like I've got a little, so I'm going to go ahead and mark, on my crew sheet, I'm gonna go ahead and mark my dark sight goggles.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a blade or 2.
Of course you do.
Yeah. So this is the just like come up behind them, and it's my blades are like these they're like long and they're almost more needle-like, right? And this is a like come up behind him, like, and just like hand over their mouth, boop, right through the ear like that, chunk, and out the other ear. So I'm just going to see if I can't just kind of do that thing where, like Assassin's Creed style, you start at the back of the 3 or 4 guards that are marching. You go, boop, take out one, boop, take out another one, and the ones in front don't even know what's going on. So
Hell yeah. I'm saying this is going to add to the clock because this is helping you escape for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're going to clear out the escape path.
Yep.
What are you rolling with this?
I am totally rolling on Prowl for this. This is Prowl about unseen, ambush with close violence, a backstab, throat cutting, blackjack, etc.
Hell yeah. All right. There's obviously, we're still in a desperate position. I'm gonna say if you clear this, it's gonna probably get you out of a desperate position. I'll say the effect. These are tier 2 gangs, so with all that stuff, I think it averages out to a standard. There's gonna be desperate standard.
Yep.
And mark XP and prowess.
Oh, I get to do that. That's right. And I'm gonna push myself.
Cool. 2 stress.
For a couple of stress. Slider, is there a way that you can help me, like when I said get their attention?
Be a distraction. Yeah. So I think Slider's gonna do that. So the way I see it, like we're in like this nasty fetid water. We're basically in a sewer, right? And although there's not very much light,
this is not a pleasant swim I'm taking here.
Yeah. So although there's not very much light, like as these guys are running forward and as he's going, around them basically or under them, they come up to Slider, and Slider's just standing in the hallway with both his arms on his pistols that are in holsters at his hips. And he just casually walks out into the very middle of the water and says, "All right, gentlemen, who's the fastest?"
Hell yeah. Take 1 stress, Slider, and you've given Magpie the extra die. So it's 2 bonus dice. That's 4 dice at a desperate standard.
Yeah, all right. Let's see what we got here.
I gotta do the full quote. So
please,
when everyone kind of stops, he looks at him, and there's multiple guys in front of him, and he says, "All right, now when I go for my guns, you go for yours, but I guarantee you will not make it."
Fantastic. Oh, fucking gunslinger. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to roll my prowl here.
Yep.
So before I roll additional dice, instead of, can I use the help to increase my effect? Is that a thing you can do? Or is help only for dice?
I'm gonna double check this. I know other Forge in the Dark games let you do that. I'm gonna double check, but I can't say.
Yeah, all of my knowledge comes from Band of Blades, so that's
yes, yeah, but this is the OG one.
Whatever,
yeah, no,
or I take his die and push for effect instead.
Yeah, you can totally do that.
Yeah,
instead.
so that's what I'll do. So yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to roll 3 dice, but my effect is going to be great.
Yes.
So, all right. So position risky.
The desperate.
Oh no, that's right. Let me do it again. So that is prowl. Position desperate.
Yeah, that's what got you that XP.
Effect great. Bonus dice 1. Yes.
Oh my God. Jesus. So between the two of you, you take out all these crows. And here's the critical effect. This is not going to affect your faction status because they didn't see this coming. Because all of them are just done. They're done. They're defeated. They're sleeping with the fishes. Between the two of you, you now have a very clear escape route. And oh my God. Jesus. Let me double check effect because I know effect's a bit different from what I'm looking at. Just see how many ticks get added to that clock. On other games, usually it's 5 ticks. I'm gonna go with that, just partially to speed things up. So you have a very clear escape route now. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. See, I told y'all I run a Forge in the Dark game. You all get 6s, except for the engagement.
Can we just take a moment? I want to know how that drawdown went.
Yeah. Go ahead, Slider. Tell us how that went.
So I think that didn't quite work. Okay, so I think by the time that Victoria's going along and like killing everybody more or less in a row, and they're falling left and right. And they're falling left and right, and Slider's watching this, and you get like this good, the bad, and the ugly type like stare down. But every time it flicks back, there's one less person because he keeps knifing them in the throat. And then finally, I think it comes down to the last one, and instead of drawing, Slider just raises his fingers up to his mouth and blows his fingers, and then like as the guy's eyes get really wide, Victoria stabs the last one in the throat and kills him.
Sold.
Yeah, you're earning that ostentatious reputation for sure. All right, yeah, okay. So really, someone just needs to roll a thing to find Arco, and then you've got this done because you're only 2 ticks away from that clock. You have a very clear escape route now, and you're no longer. I don't think anyone is in a desperate position now. So yeah, Redcoat. I think Bear is kind of like. He's kind of like, you got his number but he's drowsed thanks to Widow, and he just says like, you have no idea what you're messing with, Redcoat. But if the Fog Hounds won't get you, you're dipping your nose in things you don't understand, Redcoat.
I think Redcoat just like lowers his fist for a second and then just comes charging in. And I think I'll roll skirmish again, obviously. Cool. I mean, I suppose when you're a cutter, everything looks like something you can hit.
That is true. This is going to be risky now. I think it's still risky. Great. He has denuded his 2 crewmates. There's chaos outside. Your PC is a hammer. That's great. This is going to be risky. Great. Are you pushing yourself?
Okay.
Anyone assisting? Widow, you got any more tricks up your sleeve?
Probably not right now. No, I think
Okay.
I might leap in later, but yeah.
Ooh, oh yeah, I'll turn to you after this, for sure.
How much stress do we likely clear at the end of it in a downtime action? Just
you usually you roll your lowest attribute to indulge vice. Usually, well, for you
okay.
That would be 1
Insight
die.
or 1 die.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how many points roughly do you get back? Like 2, 3, 4, 1?
You usually take the highest. So
I'm just going to push the stress. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm overthinking it because I don't know how much of the cost is actually, like, I don't know the math of the cost. So I'm like, can I afford it? But the worst thing that happens is I get a trauma, right? And then I get another XP trigger. So
yeah. I have known some people who are going to like push as quick as they can to get that extra XP trigger.
I will push for an extra die for 3 die. 2
dice. 2 stress, I mean. Oh my gosh. All right, so your highest is a 3. So, oh my gosh. Okay. Here's the complication. Things go badly. You suffer harm. A complication occurs. You end up in a desperate position. Okay, here's what it is. I think you will knock out the bear, actually, because he's staggering. You'll knock him out. But here's why you don't get the extra tick, because you hear a gun cock, and you see this average-looking motherfucker. You wouldn't notice him in the street, except for his eyes. They're like fish eyes, they look dead and cold. And he's cocked a gun, proper revolver probably, or some whatever old-timey industrial fantasy guns look like. And he's got it to Arco's head, who he's got curled up in like a headlock. And you hear Arco kind of like whimpering, what's and it's like that. And Steiner, this guy, is kind of like, if you don't mind, leave now, or I'll blow this kid's head off.
Can I resist this consequence?
Absolutely,
okay.
You can. What it'll mean is that, like, well, we can just. What I mean is just like you still be a failure the roll, but like that means that like this doesn't happen. This particular consequence.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So I can't.
well, mechanically. Sorry, I should explain. Mechanically, what it puts you is actually no. It puts you back in a desperate position. Mechanically, is what this complication is. Do you want to resist that?
No. I think I'm 100% fine with us being now in this like standoff. I think just Redcoat just like smashes Bear like straight through a door, into another room, and then it opens up, and then there's Steiner there holding Arco with the gun. It's all like quiet for a second, and then he gives his little spiel.
Yeah. Is this the time to jump in, Widow, or do you have any more tricks?
Yeah. So I think maybe what we is probably, I guess, is probably kind of another flashback-ish, but I think maybe what we see we kind of pan away from this, and we see that while this has been going on, Widow Penderyn is outside the building with a with a ladder propped up, or maybe just like a grappling hook and rope or something up there, and we see Ramira's daughter climbing up to the window, where the into the room where Steiner is.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if there's an appropriate role for that. Or
you can roll anything is actually how it is. Like you can roll any command, even ones you don't have dots in. Usually what happens is if you roll a action rating, you don't have a dot, it rolls 2d6 and it takes the lowest. But you can always push yourself or get assist. So you can roll command and then get an assist or push yourself or take a bargain. So you always have a chance, so long as you have the stress or you're willing to take a bargain. You always get to roll at least one die. But this could be a consort. Like you tell me, and I'll tell you what the
and I think this is maybe a consort where we just get a few moments of like after that scene, the initial gather information scene. I think we see Widow Penderyn catching up with Brenna, and just sort of putting a hand on her shoulder, and sort of calming her down.
Hell yeah. And I think, okay, so I think this is going to be risky. Not, I'll say one stress flashback, because I think this is also a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think you'll have to like, I don't know, get her mother to vouch for you or something like that. Oh, I'll say right now, because we are on time, can we go over like at least 5 more minutes, because we're nearly 5 to 7 more minutes, because we're nearly about to wrap up. Just one more roll. And this is gonna be risky standard, I'd say. I don't know, risky great, because her mother clearly liked you enough. She likes your scones. She really
sure thing.
Probably did share it to her daughter, honestly. Even though her daughter is like a member of a criminal gang, so it's risky great. You pushing yourself, or do you take a devil's bargain?
I will. Actually, I'll hear a devil's bargain. I'll see what's on offer.
Let me feel that.
If you can think of one, if not.
Let me feel that. My default one is always fitting a clock. You know me. And that one's gonna be like the spirit's attention clock.
Cool.
Halfway. 2 ticks.
I think I'm just going to push myself for now.
I need to think of better bargains. No, it's fine. It's fine. All right. take 2 stress, get an extra die. That's risky great on consort. Hell yeah. That's a 5. So you're gonna fill those 2 clocks. So I'm gonna get each of you to tell me what it looks like when like Brenna's crew, which I should say right now, they're the Lamp Blacks. What they do to like get in to at least help distract Steiner so you can grab Arco and get out through the canal. I don't want to like waste Magpie and Slider's like efforts down the canal. But like, so let's start with you, Widow. Like, what does it look like when like Brenna's crew kind of like gets in?
Yeah, so I think maybe we just get that moment where Steiner has the gun up against Arco's head, but then we just hear the click of the hammer on the gun being pulled back as Brenna has come in through the window and has a gun trained on him.
Nice. I kind of want to add one thing. I think before like Brenna comes in, Steiner's kind of like just looking rather nonchalant at Redcoat, and it just says like, if you do anything, you'll have to answer to the Nightingale now. And but before you can do anything, yeah, here's the Brenna's gun cock, and there's a moment where like he just looks, he's distracted. What do you do, Redcoat? His even though he's a professional kind of like, but he's distracted because something else has happened. What do you do, Redcoat? And it's not an action roll. You've completed the mission, so you have control. So you tell me how you like save Arco.
I think he throws the billy club, of course. And you know what? I think even he throws the billy club, and Steiner, I think his gun flashes towards Redcoat. Because we're at the end of the mission, I'm just going to burn off my armor and say that like Steiner shoots, Redcoat, but he catches it in the armor and then barrels into the pair of them, like knocking Arco out of the way. And
nice.
Steiner's free to be however the narrative, if he jumps out the window going, "I'll get you next time, Gadget," then that's fine too.
Yeah. And I think Arco like will run towards the back to where you were, Redcoat, and he kind of like almost kind of like stumbling towards where the trap door is, where I guess you, Slider, and Magpie are waiting. I think you see like his face kind of like pop through trap doors, like, he sees the two of you and all these dead crow members. And he's like, don't hurt me. You're here to kill. You're not here.
Yeah, and that's totally like, he's like, no, please don't hurt me. And I just stalk up to him like goggles are up on my head and I'm squinting and I've got one of those long blades and I kind of reach towards him and he's, and I go chink, chink. And like, just like with a twist, take the shackles off his hands and then just kind of, bend over and with just a flick of the wrist, chung, undo the shackles off his legs, and then just with a kick, kind of boop, they go splash into the canal. And I'm kind of like that, and I point at Slider, and I say, "This will be your gondolier this evening, sir."
And go ahead.
Slider just sort of runs his fingertips across the handles of his guns as Arco is like looking out on all these guys, and he says, if you're good enough, you can get more than one with one bullet.
And I think that's kind of like the note will end the job. I think I think Steiner will definitely escape because he's a rival. He don't go down that easy. I think what happens is just like he starts kind of like shooting at Brenna, and there's a shootout that's kind of happens, and then whatever chaos is happening with the Fog Hounds, it kind of like they kind of get swept away. But I think Redcoat, you manage to like step out, and you'll see Widow, who is just kind of there, looking very casual and like any other citizen.
Widow tips a hat across the street as a Redcoat comes smashing through a window with a Fog Hound like in front of him. Like maybe like as Brenna's gang attacks, a whole bunch of other Fog Hounds run into the room at the same time, and like they sort of like have a battle there, and we get Arco out the basement while like this it's all kicking off in the thingy.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, I think that's the end. We'll do payoff and everything next session. I know like But let's do XP now because it's better to do that right at the end. So let me find the Blades player kit because there's some XP triggers that are like same for everyone. First off,
I think we've got them all on our sheet, right?
yes, actually, yes, it is on your sheet. So for everyone, you marks XP if you express your beliefs, drives, like heritage or background. And I'll let you decide whether you did that. If you did that once, you mark XP. But if you did it twice, you mark 2 XP. If you did it multiple times, you mark 2 XP. And I'll take anything. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me read that back. Sorry, my mind's going a bit overboard. I'm gonna do what Lowell usually does for this, and I'm gonna ask then each character like, what did we find out about your character, and then mark XP. See how what depending on what we find out. So I guess I'll just go through one by one. So let's start with Redcoat. Did you address a challenge with violence or coercion? You're muted.
Yes. Like, in fact, I've addressed every challenge with violence or coercion now that I think about it.
Hell yeah. So mark 2 XP, and you can mark that anywhere, whether on your playbook track or any of the other attribute tracks. Basically, whenever those fill up, if you fill up your playbook one, you get an extra ability. The playbook one is, or if you fill up an attribute track, you get an extra dot. Cool. So what did we find out about Redcoat this session?
I think we found out that he's like known amongst the lowlifes, and he has like a history. You know, like he's clearly been in a fight with Bear before, and you know, he's like shakes down vermin all the time. So that he's got this sort of network of you know, lowlife thugs and informants that have crossed paths with him at one point or another.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, we'll take an XP for that. That sounds really cool. Cool. Up next, Magpie, Victoria. Sorry. There's one more thing. You also get you can also get an extra XP if you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas, which we didn't really indulge vice or anything, so we're gonna ignore that for today. So yeah, back to Victoria. Did you address a challenge with stealth or evasion?
Yeah, I think twice. I did that B&E to gather information, and I did my little, like I said, Assassin's Creed, you know, dive and sneak around and come up behind him thing to deal with that gang that was coming at us. So I feel like that's legit for 2 there.
Yeah, hell yeah, take that. What did we learn about Victoria this session?
We learned that she is perfectly happy to cut throats.
Yeah. God, yeah, yeah,
yeah. That she'll just like that she is, that perhaps the distinction between her and an assassin is that she doesn't kill people for money.
That's good.
But like if she feels that they deserve it, is perfectly happy to just, you know, to just light people out. A little more brutal than our, you know, than the character that she's based on, perhaps.
A bit. Yeah, so take an XP.
Yeah. And I feel like I expressed my beliefs, drive, heritage, or background in the harpsichord lesson at the beginning there.
Yeah, I'll give you another
XP. Got a little insight into my life as a dilettante, so I'm going to take another one for that.
Yeah. All right.
And I marked one in prowess for the desperate action that I took.
Yes. Cool. Widow Penderyn, did you address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. If you did multiple times, yeah, mark 2. Yeah, this isn't like Band of Blades where you get showered with XP if you just survive fighting a lieutenant. Yeah, it's a bit more piecemeal. Yeah, what did we learn about our dear Widow this session?
Yeah, I think that we kind of learnt. Well, you know, we learned sort of you know, how she takes on kind of a caretaker role for people. I think that was we saw that sort of side of her this session. Yeah, kind of that supportive and you know, providing for people.
Cool. Yeah, take an XP for that. Was there any like Jim said, is there any like beliefs, drives, the heritage or background you think you express?
Yeah, I think kind of we saw we saw the how she sort of fits into the community of Char Hollow. I think we saw her kind of in her element as this sort of local figure.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so I'll give you another XP for that. And last but not the least, to our hound, to Basil Slider. Did you address a challenge with tracking or violence?
Yeah, I think a couple times. I think definitely tracking, and then a threat of violence in the showdown in the sewers.
Oh yeah, take 2 XP. And again, yeah, you can put that in your playbook advancement or any of the attribute trackers there. What did we learn about Slider this session?
I think it came across pretty clearly that he's flamboyant, kind of a devil may care attitude.
Yes, take an XP for that. Is there like an expression of beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, do you think?
I think background came through with the scene with the sergeant when they were listening for the bells.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll give you that. And to answer Will's question, yeah, Steiner said, yeah, threaten you with like, yeah, that is the person you have to deal with the Nightingale. So that's something to pick up in the coming sessions. All right, I'm almost forgot crew XP. Crew also gets XP. All right, did you interfere with criminal scores, protect citizens, or antagonize the law? I think you absolutely did. Both
yes.
Yeah, interfere and antagonize. I'll give you 2 XP for that. Did you contend with challenges above your current station? They are a tier over you. So that's always going to get a yes because right now you're tier 0. Did you bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one? Jesus, y'all.
Staring rescue.
Daring, ostentatious.
Mysterious loss of a bunch of crows in the middle of this massive 4-way fight that's complete chaos and confusion of like 3 intersecting gangs and us. Like, yeah, ostentatious.
Hell yeah. And did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? I think by taking on this kind of job, like that scene talking to Ramira.
Yeah, I mean, like there was nothing in particular to gain from this other than like someone from the neighborhood said, my brother's in trouble.
Yeah.
And we went, okay, all right, we'll get your brother out of trouble.
I'd like to think that maybe like
my brother's in trouble that he got himself into because he was an
he
idiot.
got himself into.
Yeah, all right, okay, we'll go help your idiot brother.
I like to think that maybe like there's some sort of fate attached to the bell, like when the bell rings, it's always something that will lead to something bigger than just that small little problem that we're facing, kind of thing.
Ooh, we'll see about that. All right, I think that's it for all the upkeep. I'll take care of when we come back. I'll take care of keep pay off what you get. I'll do that in between now and then. But thank you very much for playing Blades of the Dark. Man, Jesus Christ, you all been so fab. I always want to get that on the record that these players are fantastic. Great ideas, great quips, great seats, great images, just great session. I'm gonna stop recording now. Goodbye, YouTube. We'll